Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. It has been a wild week. I don't know about you, but huh, I've not gotten any editing done since I was last on here. It's just been so crazy. No writing, no editing. We've had some digging around the place. We lost water for a little while, lost internet, and I'm just glad this week's almost over. Oh boy, and somehow I imagine I'm not the only one. This month has just been really, really rough. Um, but I wanted to sit down tonight, get some edits in. I'm working on transcribing my Lighthouse novel, which is a young adult dark fantasy, into Scrivener, and it's coming along. I am ending up basically the the word count, it seems like, as I go, which is pretty normal for me. I tend to, add to the transcribed draft as I go, but I still have a lot to go, and I have a deadline with my editor, not in April but May, and I also have a lot of shows lined up in April, so I gotta get my edits in while I can, while I have the time. So what my typical process looks like normally is I'll go through and transcribe I write it in, by hand first, and then I will go through and transcribe all of it into Scrivener, and then I'll go through and just do a read over and edit things, just to make sure it all, like a sanity check, make sure I haven't, messed up anything, and then I'll go through and do one last grammar run through it, and then I send it off to my editor. So that's my process for how I do it. I'm going to be trying to show as much of that for you guys as possible. And then I'm also going to be doing formatting it all in Vellum and getting all of that done. So you'll basically get to see the whole process here of how I do it. Now, for this book, I do have a cover already. I just have to get a full wrap finished and the title. But I can't do that until I really know the full length of the book, because they've got to know how long the book is for the spine. So that's going to have to wait till after the edits and everything is done. So hence me being on a deadline. I'd love to have this book come out, like, I'm thinking maybe August. That's kind of my very loose goal. But it's rough. This year has been rough. And you kind of have to grab the time that you have to get these kind of creative things done, because it slips away all too quickly, I think. And especially whenever we're dealing with so much right now, I just feel like writing and reading is like my best escape from it all. When I just can't deal with any more of it, when I'm tired. So this has been a nice escape, but it's also like I have to create time. I have to wrangle time down and use it so I can actually get some stuff done. But yeah, so I'll be diving into this in a moment, and then once I get to a good stopping point, I will let you know how it goes. I do have my Scrivener up here, and yeah, you can kind of probably see it. I don't know how well you can see it on there. But yeah, so that's how it's going. A lot to do still. And I'm glad you're with me, because this is a lot. So enjoy the vibes, and let's get going, huh? Oh, hi, Shadow Legion. So, my young adult dark fantasy story is about a lighthouse and a boy who gets shipwrecked on an island with the lighthouse. And there is a monstrous creature that lives there as well as a girl in the lighthouse that he, is trying to unravel the mystery of what's going on. So, there's a burgeoning romance as well as, you know, the vicious creature that lives there as well. So so it's a fun little mixture. I've been really enjoying writing this one. I find it I'm working really hard to fill it with a lot of gothic imagery and things like that because you just can't not with a lighthouse. So yeah, this is actually going to be a standalone for this one. I do have other series that I've written, a lot of them with werewolves and things like that, but this one is going to be a standalone, I think. Unless it gets really popular, and then I'll consider it. I could see this going off and, where it would go. I've already thought about that in a lot of ways, but I don't know if I want to go down that path with it yet. So I think just getting this story down for the standalone is going to be great. At this point, it's actually going to be part of my Monstrous Creatures series, where I have The Sea King is the first book in that series, and it's a kind of Hunger Games meets A Quiet Place. That's more of a young adult horror, though. No, not all my stuff is dark fantasy. I do have my Stolen series as just YA fantasy, which is much lighter. And this one is more moody than it is terribly dark. I tend to keep my young adult work to be much more, it never gets that extreme with my dark and horror and levels and things like that. My adult stuff gets more dark. But my young adult stuff, I tend to have more of a limit of how far I push it, because that's just how I write my young adult novels. Everyone writes them a little differently. That's just how I do it. Not to me, they're not terrifying, but, it's just a different audience for that, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But thank you for the questions. I write all sorts of young adult, though. Young adult fantasy, young adult dark fantasy like this. And it's funny because when I started writing dark fantasy, it was more like, Return to Oz kind of things and stuff like that for young adult. And now it's gotten a lot darker with like protagonists that you kind of despise, and that's kind of the point. I don't know. Dark fantasy has such a wide range now. But, I think I do like taking like darker edges into my young adult novels. I really enjoy that. I think it really ups the stakes, which I enjoy. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions. I'm just trying to get this transcribed at the moment. That's the goal. I've got an editing deadline coming up. So, it's not for till May, but this is one of my many editing passes. So, might be able to get better that way. Yeah, you're fine. No big deal. Gotta get food. Oh, I'll be doing that after this. Just trying to get lines in, you know? Trying to get these words down. Can't edit something if I don't have it on digital. Oh, you should. You should. The first book I wrote, the first like full length one that I wrote that wasn't a novella or a short story, I I took years to write, and then I finished it and I didn't like it. And so I ended up scrapping it completely and rewriting it. But I started out doing fan fiction, really long fan fiction. Um, so I knew I could write a long book. It's just getting my head wrapped around the world building and telling a complete story was the tough part for me. Oh, don't shoot yourself down like that. It's okay. You don't know what's going to be good until you actually work on writing it. There's lots of books I've written that I want to go back and like fix and get it up to my standards now, you know what I mean? If you just keep writing, you'll get to it, you know what I mean? But you have to have it down on paper first before you can go through and edit it and figure it out. This is going to be my 11th book, and I'm also writing another book over there that's going to be my 12th one, so I kind of go back and forth now. But yeah, that first book was really hard to get out, to put down. I don't know why the first one is so difficult, because after that I suddenly had contracts for book 2 and 3 of the Stolen series, and I had a year for each one to write, and I was panicked. But I tell you what, deadlines. It's amazing how much more productive I am when I have a deadline, especially one that someone else is giving me. Oh, that sounds awesome. I love it being set in like a snowy area too. And the dragons having like an internal heat. That's really cool. That's a great way to start. And then you have the question of, does he tell her or does he not? You know? I think that's I think that's fun. See, I think that's a great premise right there. And then, like, I'm a pantser, so I kind of, the hard part for me is figuring out who my protagonist is, who the character is, and then writing around that. So, um, basically, once I get a good handle of who my protagonist is, like in this one, it's Finn, and he was always going out on the ocean with his dad and helping him, you know, crab out on the ocean, like catch crabs and things. And then, when things go really bad for him, you know, I have that, from a writer perspective, built-in trauma to work with. Ooh, that's cool. That's really cool. I like that. I love transformation stories. I think that's why I'm always like pulled into werewolf tales and like to write werewolves and shifters and things like that. I think that's fun. Yes. No, you have a really good piece here. And you've also got a really good, like, pitch for it, too. So I don't know if you're planning on doing traditional or indie, but you've got a really good way of describing it that I'm instantly interested as someone who loves dragon books. Fantasy and dragon books. Yes, you could. You could definitely do that with that. That's a whole genre. That's not my specialty, but that's a whole genre. No, you've got a really good piece there. You should go for it. Don't shoot yourself down with that. Yes, I would read it. What a question. No, you can't see it right now, but my books behind me are all like fellow indie authors, indie fantasy authors, and indie horror authors that I follow. And I love, like, some of the best fantasy that I've read that I enjoy reading are from indie fantasy authors because, I don't know, you just get different storylines, different perceptions, you know what I mean? Perspectives, I guess. Um, no, I would read it. You just got to get the confidence to do it and get the words down. Honestly, that's the hardest and easiest advice at the same time. I would buy it. I would buy it. That's an art copy, is what you're thinking of. Yeah. My goodness. Now, have you had people who were like, no, I wouldn't buy it, you know? People expect books to be free all the time, and that's not. You can't make a living giving away books, unfortunately. I could when I was doing fan fiction, but I had to. You can't license fan fiction. But no, I think you have a really good idea. Just don't give up on it, though. It's really tempting to do that when it's just an idea, because it's a lot of work. But it's worth it if you can get through it. See, the most I get with my books tends to be more sweet romance. And I write a lot of LGBTQ characters and stuff too. But I tend to do mostly sweet and dysfunctional. Sweet or dysfunctional. that chapter. This is a new chapter. Yay! I always like to come back up here to check my word counts and see how it's going. So this one, yeah, that one's a good length. This one was when we just finished up. That's a pretty good length right there. I like it to flow nicely. I have a few chapters that end up being super long, but I try not to have too many of those because I like having breaks in between the reading. But sometimes you just get into a very intense scene and you just have to let the scene play out. So you can tell the intense parts of this book so far. And according to my journal, we're on chapter 8, but according to this, we're on chapter 12. So yeah, we are definitely adding words to this manuscript today. How much did I estimate word-wise? Just estimating the count in my journal for how long this one was. This was chapter 7. About 1,064, so yeah, that is double. Tell you what, that's been my thing, is doubling up word counts. Not a bad thing, but... But I'm so proud. Motivation, motivation, motivation. Get those words down. So typically what you have to do is format it. If you want to have it in like an ebook format or a print format. I use Vellum for that. So once you have this, I typically export it to Word and then send it off to my editor, who goes through and does track changes with it in Word. And then from there, she sends it back. I review everything in Word, and then I throw it into Vellum, and it's really easy to format. Unfortunately, it's a Mac exclusive software. It's not expensive software, but the Mac part is. Typically, I think there's a place you can rent time using Macs, which is like Mac in the Cloud or something like that. There's also another one that's a Windows one. I forget the name of it, but that's a competitor with Vellum, which is really good too. But Vellum is nice because you can it does print format and it does all of your ebook formats too. So Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Google, all of that stuff. So it's kind of a one-stop shop, and it's super UI friendly. So you don't have to work a lot with it. When I get this book to that point, I'm going to be going through and doing that on the stream as well here, so that you can see stuff. So yeah, it's a process. And then once you have that, then you can upload things to, the various storefronts and upload it to, like, I use Ingram Spark for my printing. Have to format it, get your cover wrap and everything like that, but Vellum just outputs a PDF file, and that's what you upload as your interior file. So you have your interior, and then you have your cover files that you upload. I also have a Scrivener tutorial series that I made on YouTube a while back. There might be some changes, but I can link that in the chat if you're interested. That might help you. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick. There you go. Hopefully the link works. It's an ugly YouTube link, but... One group that you might want to look at doing is Wide for the Win on Facebook. I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but that's a really useful group. There's a lot of useful information. They have a whole tree of knowledge in there you can go through, which is basically pinned categories, walking people how to do indie author, becoming an indie author wide, which is like non-exclusive to Amazon, so just on every platform you can. So, yeah. That might be a really good place to start, especially if you're looking at what to do with it once you're done. another section done, not a chapter done. It's coming along though. Just got a few more pages left. Again, thank you for being here. I am trying to get to 10 followers. So if you want to give my channel a quick follow, I would appreciate it. This is very much a baby channel. I do writing times like these, but I also do some gaming, so I kind of go back and forth. It's probably going to be a good amount of writing time with how much I have to transcribe left. Oh, but it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm sorry if you hear cats doing random things in the background. I started the stream after they were done doing their playtime, so that was the goal. Okay, and that is the end of that chapter. I don't know. I have the shipbuilder down as the title for that one, but I really am leaning towards To the Ends of the Earth. I think that sounds way cooler. You know, chapter titles, just like book titles, are all about rule of cool, right? Trying to figure out the thing that describes things best. And sounds awesome, too. Oh, that is 2 chapters down. My goodness. My goodness. Yeah, that one was about, I think I added a little bit for that one, but not so much. It's pretty dialogue heavy, and that's pretty solid. So that's 2 chapters I'm trying to decide on titles for. I've got this one, The Light on the Cliff, or A Streak of Light in the Darkness. I think the light on the cliff, the lighthouse on the cliff. Though the light on the cliff sounds cool too, but I think lighthouse on the cliff sounds cooler. And To the Ends of the Earth sounds cooler for that one. I don't know. My activity feed glitched out completely, so I have no idea. No idea what's going on over there. But I'm pleased, you guys. I'm pleased. Now let me go look and see how the length of that event is. Yep. Around 2200. My low end is around 1650. And the upper end is around 4K for my chapter lengths. That's important, you know, so I'm really pleased. So let me show you what all we've gotten done. So this whole section here, let me see if I can get it on the camera. This whole section here is what we've completed. Not all in this one sitting, obviously. And this section, it's a much smaller section here, is what's remaining. Not nearly as much, right? And you might think that might be the end of the book, but no. No. Oops. I had to. I don't even know what I dropped. You gonna figure it out, doll? Oh, it's my box of stickers. Oh well. This one is my overflow journal, and this was... Doll, don't play with the stickers. This one is the remainder of the book after I'm done with this journal, because that's how that goes. So, once we finish this one, we will have the other one to go through and finish that up. So, over halfway through this journal, though. That's great. I think 2 chapters-ish transcribing is enough for my hands for one session. If you are been watching and joining us, please consider following. I think I might have gotten... Yeah, I think Shadow Legion followed me. Yay, thank you, Shadow Legion, if you're still here. I should give me like 7 followers, I think. I'm trying to get to 10, because this is a very small channel. Not only do I work on my books, this is my 11th book that I'm working on now. But I also do some gaming occasionally on this channel, too. So, you know, I'm trying to do this on Thursday evenings. Just hop on here and get some edits done. I'm probably going to be on here more often now that, if you missed the first intro, we've had a heck of a week over here. There's been some digging going on, so we lost water for a while, we lost internet for a few days, and it's just been a little crazy. I anticipated streaming on here way more often than I've been able to, so I'm glad to be here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for kind of giving me some community while I'm going through this stuff. Writing and editing is a very lonely process. I much prefer the writing portion to the editing part, I must admit. But yeah, I'm really pleased. This turned out really well, you guys. And if you noticed our project targets over here, we're a little over 30K into it, aiming for 80K, so I think we're pretty close to being on track for that. You know, plus or minus. I'm kind of aiming for anywhere between 60 to 80K. If it goes up to 90 or 100K, I'm fine with that too. Like, I'm not picky. But we got almost 5K words in here too, and that's really nice. I am pretty pleased. This is ending up having a ton more chapters than I expected, and I will probably have to go through and add in parts at some point. And figuring out where to put those is a whole other process. Usually when I'm editing after transcribing, I start to see like sections and patterns emerge, and that's usually when I start putting in different parts. This one's probably going to have like 3 or 4 parts, maybe 5, depending, but yeah. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the stream and head out, but please, if you haven't already, please give me a follow. I'm still trying to climb up to 10 followers. And thank you for being here, and hopefully you'll join me next week. Thanks, y'all. Also, check out my books, marlenafrank.com. I've got a whole store on there. You go to my shop. A big thank you to my Ko-Fi subscribers. They're great. Connie and Donna are amazing. They are subscribed to me every month, and they get behind the scenes info on my latest works in progress. So if you like that sort of thing, if you like my writing and you want to see behind the scenes stuff more, get early access to titles like this book title, get early access to covers, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, make sure you subscribe over there. Let me see, what else am I thinking of? You can also keep track of me on YouTube, which is, I have a lot more writing focused videos where I talk directly with folks on there about, my journey, my publishing advice, things that I've gone through, as well as some vlogs about us going to festivals and things back when we went up to BookCon back in 2019 up in New York City, which was really great. RIP BookCon. It's not been around for a while. But yeah, go back through and watch some of my videos over there. I've got it linked on my page here as well. Yeah, you can also subscribe to my newsletter. Keep up to date with all of my books, all of my writing, all of my events, everything that's going on, because there is a lot going on all the time. Also promos. I was just doing a book funnel promo. I was just part of a group that was working with Kobo Plus to get my books posted in a special feature with them too. So yeah, just lots of busy work going on. But yeah, thank you again. Hope to see you as a follower, and have a nice night.